My name is Rasheed Adetunji. I was in prison Kirikiri maximum for good 8 years as an awaiting trial for a crime I did not commit. I was born and brought up in Ibadan. Then, fortunately, I lost my mother when I was 2 years. So I'm a motherless boy. I don't have a mother. Then it's my father that raised me up to when I'm almost 18 years before I start to come and hustle in Lagos. But my father is a very strict person. He trained me to the stage that I know that it's not good for a man to involve in any crimes or any act of terrorism, even courtesan. I thank God for how God has taken me so far until the, let me say, predicament or problem happened to me while I was doing my daily job as a DJ, and at the same time I'm using my car for logistics, carrying people from one place to the other. I have some customers who do calls me. I'll pick them with my car and drop them to their locations. They pay me off, and I'm doing DJ at Eleko Beach. When I gather a little bit money, I buy some instruments and I have my instruments where I'm working with a club, and I'm paying well in that club before a kind of issue rise up against me by our Nigerian state SARS. I just want to use that word, state SARS, because it happened in Ikeja. It's Ikeja SARS that carried me. It happens that very day, April 28/29, April 28/29, 2015, a lady was doing a birthday and I was invited to come and play as a DJ at Eleko Beach. That is where I was that particular moment at 1 a.m. where I'm working. I just don't know what's going on. The only thing I noticed is that my landlord just came into the club and called me in a hurry mood, and I have to left the play. I have to left my system and went out with him. Getting out with him, all I know is that I just saw these guys, kefty men, came to the club with my wife, with pregnant, with the phones of all my neighbors, with their phones. They came to the club. The phones is in a bowl. They keep all their phones in the bowl. Then they took me to the car and asked me, who is, I was a kidnapper. That's how it is. They just like, they have told all my neighbor, they told all my neighbor in the house that this guy is a kidnapper, we are looking for him. Immediately they go to the club. When my landlord called me out, I saw them. I'm asking them what happened. They said that there are some guys that kidnapped, that I'm among them. Which day? Where? I did not know anything. But what happened is that immediately they made mention of these things. Immediately they made mention of kidnapping. I was so perplexed. I was very weak. I was crying. My wife too was crying with the pregnant. My wife, the mother of my wife, which is the in-law, starts crying too. Before I know what's going on, they pick up their gun, shoot to the sky, and ask me where is my car. They've gone to my house, packed some of my things, scattered my things, carried my car along. That very day. This thing I'm remembering, I feel like I'm still remembering it because it's a bad memory for me. When I was in SARS, I realized that when they bought a criminal, the SARS people will use that criminal against the citizens that are on their own. Sometimes those kind of criminal are the one they will be buying food for in the cell. If they buy food for them in the cell, in order to carry them to the city to point people anyhow. If you are not in if you are not in line with them to go out and point people, you will not be fed in the SARS custody. That's how it is. the day I entered this house, I was a dead, half dead person. I was dead, half dead being that very day. I was a half dead being that very day, because they have to carry me from the torture room to inside a cell called condemned cell in the SAT, which is cell 5. I was there for 3 days without touching, eating or greeting anybody, because I cannot do anything. For good 3 days, I cannot do anything. The 4th day, early in the morning, when I woke up to join them in prayer, immediately I wanted to stand up. I could not. I just fainted. They have to be pouring water on my head, trying to help me. That's when the people in the cell have compassion on me. That gone, I spent 2 months in SARS. What happened then is this. Immediately we are in SARS. After a month, the IPO came to the cell and told me, see, we are going to kill you. You are not going anywhere, because what we need about you, we don't have it. We are not going there. We're going to waste you. Why this IPO is telling me this is because he wanted me to comply with whatever they will tell me. Because I remember vividly, that very night they were torturing me. I was beaten, but I could not write any statement that very day. But the only thing they are asking me is for me to confess that if I'm a kidnapper. And I told them, I'm not a kidnapper. Immediately after all the torture that I could not breathe again, after I denied and I could not say anything again, they carried me to the cell. From the cell, the people in the cell are the ones that are caring for me, are the ones that are helping me a little bit to survive. My leg was a little big. It was very big. The injury in that leg then. The day they had to bring me out to their compound, that is the day they now ask a lady to treat that leg. That's when they put the bandage on that leg. And that very day, where I was on that day, their mission is that they want anything that I'm going to be say to be, I'm a kidnapper.
So there are a lot of reasons why we have the current system we have. There are a lot of problems responsible for the problem in the Nigerian justice system, and one of it is corruption. Corruption in the sense that in the justice system, which starts from the police and ends in the prison for criminal justice, it starts from the police, then the court, and then the prison. There are corruption at every stage. So you see people being arrested for, there's something they call raiding, okay? Sometimes it's professional, sometimes it's unprofessional. And they raid and have mass arrest, and we have innocent people amongst this number of people that are being raided. Then the police would say, pay or pay for bail. Bail is supposed to be free. They then say, pay for bail, like you are really transacting for your own freedom. And that's what we have in place in Nigeria. So if you look at the kind of arrest that is being carried out, and the ones that are legitimate and really reasonable, when you sieve it out of, if you have 500 cases in court today, I can guarantee you that about 300 of them will be thrown out by the court. And that's because the police is not doing any form of investigation. They are just corrupt, and they are just making arrests to make money. Because Nigerians have now gotten to that stage where we exchange money for our freedom, and that's where corruption comes in. In the court system, corruption is also there. So corruption is at every stage in the Nigerian justice system. That's one. The next one is lack of investigation. I mentioned that while explaining corruption in the police. Without investigation, you would definitely see people being in prison for things they should naturally not be in prison for.
They tortured me mercilessly. I did not agree with them, rather. I did not agree with them that very day. But after then, the next thing the IPO is telling me that is going to kill me. So the day they are bringing me out, he say, if I said anything contradicting to what they want to tell me, they are going to kill me. which this thing, there are so, it's just that there are people that are in the cell that very day that can testify to this. The time to time, he keep to come and tell me that I will kill you. I was not even given food from the day one. So immediately they took me out. After they bandaged my leg, they asked us questions, and I told them what they told me, because I have not even write any statement. So they took me to the people that came to come and interview. So immediately I told those people that this is what happened, this is what happened, this is what happened. Definitely that very day, it was threatening of death that made me to speak. I cannot even give account of what I said that very day on press. After 2 months, I was taken to court. I was taken to court to Ikeja. After 2 months in the cell in SARS. So getting to court, we don't have lawyer, nothing, but I was arraigned together with the other 2 boys that was arrested before me. We were taken to court together that very day. That is June 22, 2015, I was taken to court with other 2 guys that was arrested before me. They took us to court to Ikeja. From there, they remind us in Kirikiri prison that very day. June 22, 2015 is when I got into Kirikiri prison. Immediately I got into the place, the inmates rejected me. They rejected me. That's when the warders now came and carried me to the hospital. So I was in the hospital. I was retained in the hospital for good 1 week plus in the hospital in order to receive treatment, because I cannot even be together with all those ones, because the heat in the cells that very day, the heat is so much evident that I cannot. We know what June weather is. So that time of that kind of season, the heat in the cells cannot allow me, they cannot receive me to the cell. They have to call the one that the cell is too congested, that there is no place I can stay with them. Number one, I'm going to defecate more than 5 times or 10 times that very day, because I remember really in the hospital I do defecate time to time, because I can't, the disease in my belly then that I gotten from SARS are still within me. So they took me into hospital where I received treatment for more than 1 week. Then after that, before they now refer me to a cell, then when I enter into the cell, I know that something is going wrong somewhere. It comes to a stage that when you sleep, the person beside you, between you and that person, the sweat between you and that person will float in your center like this. When I thought that getting into the prison will relieve my pain, but when I get into the cells, I discover that inside a cell that is not supposed to contain more than 15 to 17 people, at least as people who are in captivity, it said that they're supposed to contain maybe 17 people or 15 people. We are now up to 60 something inside that cell. The number of that 60 something inside the cell is terrible, to the extent that if you are trying to go and ease yourself in the night, because the difference between SARS and prison, the difference between SARS and prison life is because inside prison, there's no how they will allow you to sleep in the bedroom or in the toilet. There's no how they will allow you to sleep in the toilet. If you like, you can more than anything, you sleep in the cell. But in SARS, we slept in the toilet very, very well. I even prefer sleeping in the toilet than inside the cell in the SARS, to tell you how terrible, how the different both of them is. So now, in our cell, we are more than 60 people. We cannot, when other people are sleeping, when you are going to go and ease yourself at night, you just need to pet your leg, either someone's hand or someone's legs, before you can get to where you can ease yourself. So tighten, and not only that, this has affect many of us to the extent that the way we are, okay, let me just use this word, because of that, our congestion, it now results to different sickness that many of us, we have to go to the hospital to go and request for drug. But getting to the hospital, it's a pity that getting to the hospital before you could get anything to treat yourself, sometimes you have to pay money. Even as a prisoner, you have to pay money. This thing comes to my sense because I remember vividly there's a certain times and time of COVID. Yes, in time of COVID, I'm in Kirikiri. So that very time, I know how terrible it is for us in Kirikiri in time of COVID-19, because the sickness now, we all are having same symptoms. That even when you are going to the hospital, there is no drugs for us to take care of ourselves. Some of us is some NGOs that came to Kirikiri that gave us some drugs that we used. Some of us used our money to buy these drugs.
So the Nigerian Correctional Service is an establishment on its own, and the essence of it being established is to rehabilitate inmates or defendants, as you like to call them. However, there are challenges, right? We are not there, but I would say categorically that some prisons are better off than some prison. If you'd go to Ikoyi prison, for instance, it's an appalling situation you are going to see there. In fact, there are sometimes I go there with people and they're like, they are not able to cope for a week. They are just thinking, how could that huge number of youth be kept in a facility like that, doing nothing, and then nobody is actually safe, especially when there is no program going on to reform their mind, to keep them busy, and a whole lot of things, you know. So I would not say we are there. We are actually very, very far from there.
I was there, not that I found guilty or not, but at the same time, the kind of experience I have in prison is more like someone that was condemned to death, because it got to a stage that I felt to go and kill myself or even be in jail rather than to be as an awaiting trial. Even than to be an awaiting trial, because what I'm passing through is like I'm sentenced to death. For good 6 years, I was there. Nothing. I'm not going to quote. There's no any feedback for good 6 years while I'm in Kirikiri prison. No any feedback, no going back, no coming from. I go to the record to ask questions times to time to know what's going on. All they are telling me is that there is no any response yet. They are only trying their best to see if there will be positive result. But for good 6 years, I could not go out of that place, even to see outside. Despite I am awaiting trial, despite I have not been convicted as a lifer or as a CC man. So
in the course of doing this job, we also realized that a lot of Nigerians are not informed. They're not informed of what their rights are in the first place. So somebody who has been arrested by the police, a lot of these guys, I keep saying it, the most victim of police brutality in Nigeria are not on social media. All right? They are illiterate. They do not even know what their rights are. A lot of people have been given statements at the police station to append their signatures on without understanding the content of that statement. Okay? And so the first thing is information. If you get caught in this web or in this system, the first thing is, if you are not informed, get a lawyer. Now, you would save money. Law or legal practice or legal representation is not cheap. Lawyers aren't cheap. So if you do not have money, there are also other avenues for you to get a lawyer. And that's the essence of information. Sometimes it might not be you, it might be a family member. Then importantly, call your family member, call somebody. A lot of people are actually at police station, in court, in prison, and their family members are not even aware that they are there. Some people, in fact, today in Nigeria now, if someone is missing, one of the places you want to check is the prison, because it takes just a short while before you find yourself there. So if you get caught in the web, even before you get caught in the web, educate yourself. You have mobile phones. For some of us that use mobile phones, please use it for the right things. Get information about who you are as a Nigerian, the right you have as Nigerians, what you should do encounter police and all of those things. So if you have a if you are pre-informed, when you then find yourself in that situation, you know what to do. Then if you are not informed at all, the first thing I would say is call somebody, let them be aware you are there. Secondly, get a lawyer or let them get one lawyer for you. You need a lawyer to help you navigate the Nigerian justice system. It is complicated. The system is very, very complicated. Even for lawyers, it's quite complicated. How much more somebody who is a novice when it comes to the things of the law. So I'd say get a lawyer. That's the most important thing.
Immediately I enter into the Kirikiri prison, when there is no one to help me, when there is nobody to call, is it my daddy I have nothing to provide for me that I'm going to be calling, or is it my wife that she's pregnant that I'm going to call, or what? I'm the one that even cater for most of them before I got the case. Now I'm helpless. Now I don't have any choice than to go to the kitchen to go and get breakfast, lunch, or any other food that comes in. Now, this is where I'm having issue with my foods, with my feeding. Now, this is where I'm having issue with my feedings in Kirikiri prison. In the morning, the first morning that I woke up in Kirikiri prison, they brought food to me to eat. They brought the food. After they brought the food to me, immediately I look at the food. With my health condition, I couldn't eat it. Then I'm in hospital, and I could not eat that food. I was there. That is when some people, a man, that's when a man that I met in the hospital tried to help me a little bit. His name is Mr. Davis John. He's the one that helped me a little bit in that hospital. He's the one that now cared for me morning, day and night in that hospital before I was released from the hospital. Immediately I was released from the hospital, they took me to the cell, got into the cell. When I have the cell experience, the only thing I just know that the next morning, they brought food for us to eat. And immediately I look at the food. It was something else. The beans, I cannot feed with it because me looking at it, even the smells alone chases me because it's my first time of witnessing that kind of food. So immediately I saw the food, I was perplexed, but that very day, I don't have choice. I don't have choice. I have to eat that food that very day because looking at the food alone, it discouraged me from eating, but I don't have choice. In the morning, we are taking beans. In the afternoon, we are having a eba. But eba is eba, but the soup is not a soup. It's something else. In the evening, we are having gari. These three things is what they serve us. But not the serve of these three things is what matter. The quantity is something else. The quantity is something else. The quality is something else. Looking inside the food alone, you will know if you are not strong enough, you would rather die than eating that kind of food sometimes. Because that's how I felt sometimes. That someone should rather die than eating this kind of foods. But when it comes to a stage that a man has no choice, a man has no choice because he was captivated. There are some certain things you will do. The food in the morning is beans, but when you're looking at the food, the kind of chemicals you're going to perceive from that food is something else. That's where the challenge is. A chemical you'll be perceiving from it is something else. And apart from that, the quality of that food, the kind of beans you are going to see in your hand because they are going to serve you, the kind of beans you are going to see in your hand, by the time you are looking at it, you know that, wow, this is nothing less than a hell. Because the food we are eating is out of hands. The food we are eating, it was just like when they carry the beans and poured into a pot and bring it to us to eat. That's how it is. In the afternoon, the eba, the kind of gari they used to produce the eba is something else. In the evening, you are taking 1 cup of gari. Later on, it turned to half cup of gari. Half cup of gari for your dinner. What can that solve? Not even another food, gari for that matter, half of that cup. It's your dinner. And that's what I've been feeding on for good 3 years. I was like, God, help me. Even if I would be in outside the world, even if I would be as a naked man on the bridge, walking from one place to the other, just to have my freedom. Because even sometimes, if I will be released nakedly, that they will tell you that even in free world, you'll be walking around nakedness for good 1 year. I prefer it than being in that place. I've wished myself to the level that being on a bridge naked, just be taking the fresh air, it will be okay for me. Some of us will be even praying that they'd rather be a madman than being in prison. That's just how it is, and that's what it reflects. That's what the effect. That's how the effect takes place in our psychology system, because we believe that place is because it is not that we believe that place is hell on earth. It's not about what we believe, it's about what we are experiencing. The warder will bring information to me that they have not seen anything, because I used to go and disturb the warders also. Mr. Raimi is the warder that I normally go and meet all the time to help me out, because he works in the record. So I meet that man every time. But he told me that Rasheed Adetunji, your case is not coming. We are not seeing anything about your case. There's no file. We go to the court. They will tell us that they will tell us that they cannot find the file. We don't know where it is. This and that. This first story for good 6 years. That is what I've been hearing. Inside the cell is giving me another headache, because by the time I enter this, they will open us sometimes 8 in the morning. They will lock us by sometimes 4 in the evening. We are going to be in the lockup from 4 p.m. till 8 a.m. That's where we're going to be. And inside the lockup that we have, some of us smokes, because the general cell, some of us smokes, some don't smoke. But even I want to say this, I'm sorry to say, a lot of people even learn smokes in the prison. And that is why it is very, very important that we should be able to find out deep down before somebody will be taken to prison, because taking them there might result to something else. When I communicate with Mrs. Orija, she just told me that she will try her best, that I should just calm down, that she will work on it. And that is when she started the process. They get to the court, sometimes she will feed me back, they have been looking for the file, they couldn't find it. And at the same time, I will still go to the warders to go and make inquiry, because time to time, I do disturb them in the record. They will tell me that they have not found my case file. If they have found it, they would have sent it to them. Signal have not come to the place. All this time, I'm just striving myself, trying to survive. And that is where I was. I'm in this stage of confusion, because when Ms. Orija, she's trying her best to get the case file, there's no result. I was confused. This period I'm talking about, the period that I've been waiting for result, there's no result. They have been trying their best, there's nothing comes out. And I've think deep down that I'm saying that I'm going to go to court and go and plead guilty. Let them condemn me. I want to die. I want to kill myself. I just want them to do whatever, because I don't believe anything good can come out again. Because that situation, I'm living in hopelessness. I will go to the record. I'll go and meet them in the record that I need sleep. I want to talk to my lawyer. I will try and call Mrs. Orija and disturb her that, Mommy, please now, I want to get out of this. I want to kill myself. She will say, Rasheed Adetunji, hold on. We're still working for it. We're still working on it. We are still working on it. Just hold on. The time is near. I'm trying to get your case file. A year passed away. The first time they had to call my name, that was March 2020. The first time that they were to call my name is March 2020. And that is when COVID-19 sprang up. COVID-19 sprang up. I could not go to court. I'm now more impressed. I'm now more depressed because of the way situation is then. Because that COVID-19 now, it now makes me, because when immediately you had your name for court, especially most of us that have been abandoned in that place, the kind of excitement that comes on you that day, it's like you are going that day that you are going to court. And that is how I felt before COVID-19 now spring forth. Before the event of COVID-19, my name was called. At the COVID-19, I couldn't do anything again. That's how I remain again. Throughout the COVID-19, the adjournment has no effect because they could not take me to court. And Mrs. Orija tried all her best.
Another problem is congestion in the court itself. So like I mentioned, you have a lot of cases, the ones that are reasonable, the ones that are not reasonable pending in court. You can imagine that the police would charge somebody to court for being in a dark place, likely to commit a crime. We did a case like that at Bedford, and the young man was in prison for 3 years. So that's one of the situation where you have a lot of cases, backlog of cases. Then you now see that the reasonable ones that the court is supposed to pay attention to, they are not paying attention to because they are a whole lot. Then you now have the delay in the Nigerian justice system. Why is there delay? Delay is coming from the lawyers sometimes. I'm a lawyer myself. You see some lawyers not well prepared for their cases and then taking adjournment upon adjournment, and you see that a case that should be settled in 1 year is taking 5 years.
The release that happened in 2020 that was initiated by Chief Judge, that very time, I'm thinking my name will be among people that will be free. That very day, they are calling name that day. They are calling names of people that they left that very day. Unfortunately, my name was not there that very day. It was disaster for me. When people that even met me as an awaiting trial that are not going to court left me behind, I felt the worst man, the worst situation at that particular time because I was sick that very time to the extent that I was taken to the hospital. Because of the event, because I was not among those that are released. I'm there. That time, a lot of people are just coming. A lot of people are just trying to come and pet me, to come and to talk to me, to console me. That I should just take heart, that I should not allow myself to be used by the devil. I should not just kill myself. I should not do something that is bad. In October 2021, that was when I had my name again. And I went to court that very day. It was like a birthday, because when you had your name alone, especially those that are not even going to court at all, first time you are going to court, it will be like your birthday. And that's how I went to court that very day. I was taken to Lagos High Court 15 in front of Justice. I was asked if I was guilty. I said, I'm not guilty. And from then, when they are now looking for the prosecutor. Prosecutor are nowhere to be found. They have to return me back to prison. From that October till November, I was taken, November, the same 2021, I was taken to court again. A man came out, Mr. Olayemi, that's the prosecutor for the state council. He came out, he said, if we want to find out the case, he goes, I went back to prison that very day. From that day till January 2022, the same thing. I went to the place, the lawyer, the prosecutor, the state council tried to beg the Justice Adetunji that he's still trying his best to contact the victims to know what's going on. Then my lawyer then, Mrs. George Ayonjokwe, this man really tried. That Edford Foundation has sent to me to help me. Every time that we had court, he's always present. Number one. Number two, he's always consoling me. He's always consoling me that please just relax your mind. Don't do anything funny. Don't hurt yourself. Just relax your mind. Everything we get will be positive for me. That since I, as someone who have been alleged wrongly, definitely no result must be positive. I should just keep on positive because I've lost hope. I was taken back to Kirikiri from that 2022 January to March. From March again to court again. The prosecutor have no any evidence. From March till July, the same thing. There's no any evidence. From July till October. From October, I was given adjournment to January 11, 2023. That's the January 2023. January 11, 2023. From October 2022. That day, the prosecutor did not came to the court. I was because that very day I'm very weak. I'm confused that very day. Because I thought that 23 January 11, that day will be my day that I'm going to be set free. I thought that day Justice Adetunji will let me go. Because we have been on it, my lawyer have filed out a file that this person has no case to answer. They should stroke out the case. But the judge want to do their job, and the prosecutor also try all his best. Now, from that January 11, they adjourn the case to from that January 11, the prosecutor now choose February 27, 2023 in the court. But Justice Adetunji herself, she's the one that said, no, that date is too long. This man has been coming to this court. We don't know. I need to finalize this case. And that's when my lawyer now speaks. And they now choose February 1st, 2023. And that is the day Justice Adetunji discharged and struck out my case in our court 15, Lagos High Court at TBS. That was the day I was discharged. Immediately that very day, Air Force Foundation pay every dime on that day for me to be released. But even if I'm released, even if I was released that day, I don't know where to go. I don't know where to end to. I just have to write undertaking in this custody. I have to write undertaking in the custody in order to sleep in the custody till the next day. I have to write undertaking. On the 2nd of February 2023, the gate of maximum opened for me, and I beheld cars, Okada, every other thing in free world, and I'm very, very happy, and I thank God for that day, because I don't believe I can be out of that place even as a living person, because I thought all my hope has lost. But I thank God that Air Force Foundation, God have used them, and so many other people that surround them, that I will gain my freedom. And I'm happy that at least I can walk in the street of Lagos again, and I can do whatever I want to do at my time, eat at any time, drink at any time, sleep at any time, without measure. Freedom is very essential.
Okay, so what I think the government needs to be doing right now is, one, training and retraining of judges. Training and retraining of judges, because sometimes, I'll take the issue of bail for an example. When a judge is giving bail, that is the fundamental right of every defendant before a court when you have committed a crime that is bailable. There is no point making that bail condition so stringent to the point that the defendant is not able to perfect it. Somebody has stolen a motorbike, and then the judge is giving a bail condition of getting two shorties, one of who is a level 14 officer, civil servant, level 14 officer. Sometimes they even say property owner. Where is an Okada guy going to get that? Somebody who rides an Okada. So it is, for me, if you give bail condition that people cannot perfect, it's like you didn't give the bail condition in the first place. So I think we need to continue to train our judges to understand that bail is so fundamental, and there are consequences to these things, because when you keep people in prison, the government is spending money feeding them. The government shouldn't be feeding thousands of people that could be in their houses working because of offenses like you fought somebody on the street, like offenses like you urinated by the roadside. I mean, these are the things that people should never go to prison for. So that's number one, bail, training our judges. Then the next thing is criminalizing petty offenses. Why should people go to prison because they are owing debt? You know, recently the National Assembly passed a law on student loan. And one of the sections of that law is saying that when the student refuses to pay after graduating and working, then they go to prison for 1 year. Why? did they keep person? You know, so that I'm owing you should not be a reason why I should go to prison. These are civil action. The government should know what to do. So, and this kind of thing is scattered in all of our laws. You read laws and they're telling you, recently there's a bill before the National Assembly right now where they're talking about employers owing employees. And they're saying if an employer did not pay an employee, the employer will go to prison. Why? Why should we have to criminalize things like this? It shouldn't be. And so it is important for our government to be taking action when we are passing bills into law. We should be critical of these things, because in all of these laws, our lawmakers are infusing they're criminalizing petty crimes in all of these laws. So that's another area. Then I think that the government should work towards employing more judges. There are less judges to the number of people we have in Nigeria. There are a lot of disputes happening every day. I mean, we are so much concerned about the criminal aspect of things, but there are so much more happening in the civil aspect of things. And you can imagine in Lagos State, I'm not sure in Lagos State we have up to 100 judges. And even if we do, we should be talking of thousands of judges, because Lagos State is estimated to be about 20 million people. So the number of judges and courtrooms we have are not even commensurate to the to the population of the Nigerian people. So I think that the government should also do way better in that regard. Our laws should be more implemented. We have beautiful laws in Nigeria. There are some laws that when you read them, you'll be like, so this something like this is in our law in this country. So we have good laws, but sometimes implementation is the problem. So I give an instance. When implementing our laws, the job is really in the hands of our police. And then you read some of this law, and the law is saying, do this, do this, do this. But at the end of the day, the police are interested in the ones that are beneficial to them. So the example here is when a police officer arrests a young man in Nigeria, he's interested in perfect your bail, because that's where they want to. I mean, this law, the bail is supposed to be free, right? But we are not implementing it. Another one is in what we call Administration of Criminal Justice Law, Lagos State. It is the law that after 3 months, 90 days, when the prosecution cannot produce a witness, the court should discharge the defendant. But that's not the case. I explained the situation of Louis, who has been in prison for 5 years now. Ideally, that law should be implemented when the prosecutions are ready to prosecute that case. When they have their witness ready, they should come and rearrest the guy, all right? Because the law is supposed to, the court is supposed to strike out that case after 90 days without witness. But that's not what we have. You now see people in prison. In fact, we did a case where a young man was in prison for 11 years for being, he was alleged to have committed armed robbery, a crime of armed robbery. No witness, no evidence, no investigation, nothing at all, but he was kept there for 11 years. We did that of a young man, 13 years, one elderly man, 60 years. He was arrested at 16 and eventually got his freedom at 73, all right? And the only reason was because he was awaiting trial. So these are the situation. Judges are changed. A judge sitting on a case is, promoted to another place or another court or to the upper ladder, maybe from High Court to the Court of Appeal. He cannot come back and be doing that case. So another judge needs to start afresh. We call that de novo. So these are the challenges we have. So laws are there, but implementation is always the problem. So I believe that when we focus more on implementing our laws, we would also have less of the problem we have in the Nigerian justice system.
With the level of kidnapping penalty in our nation, if someone was alleged wrongly for it, what kind of psychological effect that can result to is a question for Nigerians. Someone that lost everything in the process of wrong accusation, how can such recover in this present economy